Two heavyweights getting set to meet. No better time to do it than on a hockey night in Canada, Saturday night at 8 o'clock down at Rogers Place. The Edmonton Oilers getting set to take on the Colorado Avalanche. This is the Oil Stream pregame show live on iHeart, TuneIn, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, and on the Edmonton Sports Talk YouTube channel. I am Matt Iwanyk alongside YouTube Trev with you here today. I am filling in for Tommy for the pregame show. Dustin Nilsson will be filling in for the postgame show. But we've got a big matchup as the Edmonton Oilers hosting the Colorado Avalanche for the first time this season. These two teams have not met since April of last year. They will now meet 3 times between now and the end of the season. We want you to be part of the show as well. You can hit us up at the text line 780-218-9999. That is the Parish Jewelers inbox. You can jump in to the nasty chat on YouTube. A couple comments already coming in, including Gorgeous George. No lie, kind of jacked for tonight's game. Go Oilers and LFG. He also adds the Wolf. Listening from Leduc Golf and Country Club, beers and VR golf boys. I'm jealous, Wolf. Getting to golf right now, even if it's VR, I just can't. I'm not allowed to because of my injury, but I'm very jealous, and I can't wait to do that. But that is a great way to do it. That's one of the best parts about spring, too. At times, you could be just going out on the golf course and then heading home to watch some hockey. But tonight, it is going to be a big one. This is a fun matchup we're getting set to watch. The Edmonton Oilers this season, 40-21-3. In their last 10, they're 7-2-1. They're taking on the Avs, who are 42-20-5. But also in their last 10, they're 7-2-1. They've won 5 straight, though. And with that, I'm just going to bring in YouTube Trev here quickly. Well, not quickly. We'll be hearing a lot from YouTube Trev throughout today's show. But just quickly, how excited are you for this game tonight with the Oilers and the Avs finally meeting this season? It's all going to be taking place in an hour and a half.
Yeah, Matty, it doesn't get any better. It's hockey night in Canada. The birds are chirping. It's beautiful out. It's just one day closer to playoffs, and yeah, I can't wait. Just like the Nasties. Just looking at the comments right now, yeah, they're all pretty pumped. It's good. Nathan MacKinnon, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Cale Makar. You got 4 of the top 10 players in the world right now. It's insane. There's just enormous amounts of talent that's going to be on the ice tonight, and I'm expecting a very fast-paced game. And, it's so sweet. Every time the Oilers get a face, there's 2 teams in the league that I think that they really get up against, and that's Connor playing against Sidney Crosby. And I think it's Connor McDavid playing Nathan MacKinnon, because that's a player I think has had his number, especially recently, the last few years. So he's got a lot to prove, and there's no better place to do it on home ice.
Who are we putting as Connor's the undisputed number 1 player in hockey?
Yeah.
So number 2, right now the argument is it is Nathan MacKinnon. Based on this season, I think Nathan MacKinnon has passed Leon Draisaitl for that, but Leon's the other guy. Who else goes into that conversation? I can't put Austin Matthews in that conversation. His overall game's not there enough for me to say he's then the second best player in hockey. Yeah, just overall.
I agree, and a lot of it really just comes down to you got 1 minute left on the ice. You need a goal. Who are you putting out? You're going to put out Connor McDavid. That's your first choice. And I think this is a really good way to break it down. Your second choice is probably going to be Nathan MacKinnon, right? Those 2 players, they have that game-breaking ability with their speed. And that's one thing. Yeah, Matthews has got a shot, but I don't know. He's not as agile, and he can't skate. He's not nearly as shifty as those 2 players. Man, maybe you put David Pastrnak up in that list, Nikita Kucherov. I'd say those players are definitely up there. I'm probably missing a few players right on the top of my head, but yeah, those players are definitely. And you know what? I hate to say it, as far as the skill goes, you probably are throwing in Cale Makar, maybe.
That's the one
right?
I was gonna say.
Yeah, he's got that game changing ability where he can just.
He's the defender.
Yeah, and that's...
You want the defender.
Yeah, absolutely. So
can I ask a little favor?
Of course.
Just turn up my headphone just a little bit, please. There. I just I'm hearing an echo with me or something. Oh no, there we go. I'll go with that.
Is that better? Sorry, Matty.
I don't know. Something seems a little off to me. That's okay. I'll deal with this one. Maybe it's just because it's your mic. My voice is coming through to your mic pretty well. I gotta get that figured out. It's a morning show thing too. I think that's a little bit.
I'll mute when I'm not talking.
No. You do you. I'll just take my headphones off right away here because I won't need them. But I will need them momentarily. Coming up before 7 o'clock. We will get a little bit of a preview from the Colorado Avalanche perspective. Like I said, Oilers haven't seen them since April last year, but we know that they're a good hockey team. But to get a little bit of an update, Evan Rewolf from Colorado Hockey Now will join us by phone as we'll get just a little bit of insight into the Avalanche. On the show today, we'll hear from the Edmonton Oilers head coach, Chris Knoblauch. We'll hear from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as well as Evander Kane, and we'll get to Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Just want to get the starting lineups for tonight's game. The Edmonton Oilers will have McDavid in between Nugent-Hopkins and Hyman. Draisaitl is centering Fogle and McLeod. Kane is on a third line with Henrik centered and Brown. Carrick in between Janmark and Perry for the fourth line. Your deep pairings: Kulak, Bouchard, Nurse, Desharnais, Stetcher, and Ceci. So Ekholm out once again, and Stuart Skinner getting the start tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. It's expected Georgiev will get the start for the Colorado Avalanche. Want to get to our question of the night, and this is where I'll bring YouTube Trev back into the show. Who is the dragon the Oilers need to slay the most? Now, look, the easy answer for some people, well, you got to slay them both. Again, you got to pick one here, though. You got only one dragon you have to slay for the Edmonton Oilers if you're wanting to go be Stanley Cup champions this year. Who is it? Is it the Colorado Avalanche or is it the Vegas Golden Knights? I threw this up on my Twitter account. Right now, 62.5% of the votes are going for the Vegas Golden Knights. Less than 38 going for the Colorado Avalanche. Trev, you're making a face there.
No, I'm very surprised by that number, Matty. I'm very surprised. I think the Oilers, just going back to, a few years ago, looking at, they got swept. The Oilers got swept. That was a totally different team, but I honestly think the Colorado Avalanche, Nathan MacKinnon, Cale Makar, those players, that team has had the Oilers' number for the past few seasons, and this is a really good litmus test. You're finally going to see, how does this team match up to the Colorado Avalanche? Personally, the Oilers, they have beat the Vegas Golden Knights this season. They've lost to them too, but I think there's no question. I think without a doubt, it's got to be the Colorado Avalanche. I don't know. Am I crazy for thinking that?
Well, I'm getting some message. I'm quiet. Is my mic?
I mean, it's coming through fine. The levels are good.
Test 1 2 3 4. Test 1 2. Yeah, my mic's so I've got a few texts here saying that I'm quiet. So I have no idea what's going on with that.
Sorry about that.
No, it's not your fault. Well, when we for sure we'll have it figured out at some point here. The Avs make sense. I get it. They are a good hockey team. Both these teams have gone and won Stanley Cups. But I just look at it and I go with the Vegas Golden Knights just because they have I think, overall better team defense. And that's from goalie on out. Who would you rather have in net if you're the Avs or the Golden Knights? Would you rather have Adin Hill or would you have Georgiev?
Yeah, see, that's tough to say because I'm not quite sold.
You're not sold on Hill either.
Adin Hill,
he
was unreal in the playoffs last year. He's been pretty consistent this season, but I mean, it's still the sample size is pretty small. But in saying that, I think that sample size is, there's enough evidence to prove that he's probably better than Georgiev, in my opinion. I don't know. He hasn't done anything crazy. I'd probably pick Adin Hill over Georgiev. But, I mean, they're two pretty solid goalies, but it's the team in front of them that's really the bread and butter.
And just defense, I love Cale Makar. Cale Makar is perhaps one of my favorite hockey players right now in hockey. But yeah, I just the overall defense and bringing in Noah Hannafin for the Vegas Golden Knights, I look at that team and look, I'm almost convinced myself just in my brain there before I said it to go with the Colorado Avalanche because I was gonna say the Avs rolled the Oilers, swept them just a couple years ago, but if the Oilers had just an average goaltending last year against the Vegas Golden Knights, they would have beat them. So based on the recent history, the Avs series was more difficult than I would say than the Golden Knights series. But I think if the Oilers, maybe part of where this would come for me is that likely they'll have to play the Golden Knights before they'd have to play the Avs. And so if they get past the Vegas Golden Knights, then this is a team that's just going to be very confident in themselves, and there's nothing stopping them at that point. Surveyor Brett has it tweeted out there. It's already been put out there. Like I said, that if the Oilers beat the Vegas Golden Knights, they're easily winning the Stanley Cup. Not just winning the Stanley Cup, they're easily winning the Stanley Cup. So I think that's part of why I just have to go with the Vegas Golden Knights and all this, because I said if the Oilers get past them, they're going to be hoisting the Stanley Cup this year. But they're both difficult. They're both going to be challenges. Those are the two teams that I think the Edmonton Oilers have to be worried about the most. Like Jake Ottinger hasn't been himself this season, so the Stars aren't that team. I do believe in team DNAs and stuff, and the Winnipeg Jets and the Vancouver Canucks do not have team DNAs that they're a franchise that goes wins. I'm sorry, I'll take the Oilers just straight on that perspective. I put the Oilers a little bit higher. I know people could come at me and say the Jets took out the Oilers a couple of years ago, but the Oilers now have that playoff experience that I think they'd get past the Jets. So it comes down to those two teams. Those are the two Dragons. I think this is also everyone in hockey thinks it's the Vegas Golden. Everyone wants Vegas to be knocked out. That's where I'll go with the Vegas Golden Knights as well.
No, and that's fair, but it's coming down almost a month left of hockey, which is crazy. But I've been watching a lot of Colorado Avalanche, and I've been watching a decent amount of the Vegas Golden Knights as well. They're two completely different teams. I play a different kind of style, but when I've been watching the Vegas Golden Knights, they kind of do it by committee. They're very defensive structure, defensive mindset. They don't give you too much. They forecheck pretty heavy, but when you watch the Colorado Avalanche play, they bring it. And I can't say the same for the Vegas Golden Knights. They don't bring it. Like when Nathan MacKinnon is on, and when I don't know what he says, he really should, this might be a hot take, but he really should be the captain of that team. I honestly think he's the driver of that team. He's just so serious, but they're just watching them play. Like they can have a bad period, and then they go out, and it's like they toy with teams. Like they honestly get their hopes up, and then they did it with the Vancouver Canucks. They did it with the Flames all last week, and it's just insane. Like they just turn on a dime, and they just bring so much intensity. And I can't say the same for the Vegas Golden Knights. And that's why I don't think the Oilers. I really think it's so hard to match that intensity that the Colorado Avalanche bring. I don't see the same. I can't say the same for the Vegas Golden Knights. I think the Oilers can match their intensity, but it's I don't know. It just, and we got to watch it. If you haven't watched the Avs play, you got to watch it tonight. They're fast. Nathan MacKinnon, he can do it all. They're physical.
They're the highest scoring team in the National Hockey League as well.
Yeah, and so it's going to be interesting to see, but that's another reasoning, I'd say. Just
your thoughts, 780-218-9999, Paris Jewelers inbox. You can jump into the nasty chat. We will get to Game Changers just after 7 o'clock for Damon Bunting Remax Elite. YouTube Trev's going to just get on the line with our upcoming guest, Evan Raoul from Colorado Hockey Now, as we'll go a little bit deeper into the Colorado Avalanche. But the entire hour from 7 to 8, we will focus mostly on the Edmonton Oilers, who are coming off their win against the Washington Capitals on Wednesday, dominating victory. And Connor Brown getting that first goal of the season. Also want to remind people that tonight I am here at EST Control with YouTube Trev. Dustin Nilsson will do post-game show. I think he's doing it from home. All next week, Tom Gazzola with the Oil Stream pre- and post-game shows. He will be at Hudson's starting on Tuesday. He'll be at Hudson's West Edmonton Mall for pre- and post-game. Thursday, he will be at White Ave for pre- and post-game. And next Saturday, at pre- and post-game, it is an EST watch party. So all of us from EST will be headed off to Hudson's White Ave next Saturday as the Oilers will be taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. That'll be an early game too, so a nice 5 o'clock start. So a great way to start off your Saturday night. Heading off to Hudson's White. Watch the Oiler game, watch the Leafs and Oilers, finish that up by watching Tommy do the post-game show, and then stick around at Hudson's or make your way across White Ave if you want. It'll be a great way to start your night. So that's all coming on the Oil Stream pre- and post-game show next week. Again, on Tuesday at West Edmonton Mall, and then Thursday and Saturday, we are at Hudson's White Ave. Oilers Avs coming up just after 8 o'clock. It is the second game of the Hockey Night in Canada doubleheader. And joining us now to give us a little bit more insight into the Oilers' opponent, Evan Raoul from Colorado Hockey Now joins us. And Evan, really appreciate the time. And for us here in Edmonton, looking at this game, I think all week people have been circling the Saturday on their calendar, looking past the Oilers' game on Wednesday against the Capitals because they wanted to see this heavyweight tilt between these two teams. How's this game being viewed down in Denver?
I mean, kind of the same way. Everyone always looks at this as the McDavid-McKinnon show. So it's just kind of crazy that these two teams haven't played this year so far. So it's going to be very interesting to watch it. And, you know, you get two more matchups after this down the stretch. So I think everyone is kind of looking at this as, you know, a potential preview because really any one of these Western teams could face each other in the playoffs just the way things are going. And you got to know what you go up against here.
We will get to the trade deadline moves and what Joe Sakic did to this team leading up to the deadline from just over a week ago. But we got to start this conversation on the Avs with Nathan MacKinnon. Have an unbelievable season. Probably right now the odds-on favorite to take the Hart Trophy this year, leading the league in points. We know what type of great player he is. We've seen him do some great things in this league for a long time. But what have you seen from him this season with the Avalanche? Have you noticed anything different in his game this year?
I don't know if I think it all started last year. He came back from an injury in December of last season, and then after that, he kind of took off. And really, in the second half of the year, he was right up there with McDavid as far as points go. So he's really just kind of carried that over into this year. I think he's addicted to winning. He's addicted to being the best, and you see it on a nightly basis. And he kind of drags everyone into the fight with him. A lot's made of kind of his workout routine and his diet, but people on the team see that it helps him, and now they're getting into it. They're doing the same workouts as him after the game, and the Avs are the slowest team to get out of wherever they are on the road because everyone's working out after the game. So he's kind of dragging everyone into the fight. So it's not really that he's doing anything differently. He's just a freak of nature as far as talent goes, and then he's got the work ethic to go with it, and it's just you're seeing it all come together on the ice these last few years.
In advance of the deadline last Friday, Joe Sakic moves out Bowen Byram, gets Casey Middlestead, brings in Sean Walker, giving up Brian Johansson, 2025 first, and then a few other moves. It's a two-parted question for you, Evan. What did you make of Joe Sakic's moves leading up to the deadline as he tries to bolster this team to get back to winning the Stanley Cup? And how have those new additions fit in with the Colorado Avalanche since those moves?
Well, I thought it was a fantastic deadline for Sakic and McFarland just because they realized that the Ryan Johansson, the experiment, it just wasn't working. And they needed to fix it. That was Chris McFarland's exact words, and that was a guy that he traded for just 8 months earlier. So for them to just say, "Hey, it's not working. We're going to go and try to fix this," is pretty admirable for a GM to admit their mistake that quickly. But he was very aggressive. The moves, the Byram Middlestead move, and the Walker Johansson first round pick move, those are all connected because the Avs wouldn't have been able to move Byram if they weren't getting a defenseman back. So to have those two moves lined up back to back just shows kind of how aggressive and how much he was working the phones to kind of make everything happen. And Casey Middlestead is exactly what this team needed. He's looked great through 3 games. Same with Sean Walker. And then the depth guys that they got, they lost Logan O'Connor for the year, which is a pretty big loss for the team. He's probably their best bottom 6 forward. So to lose him is very difficult, but Yakov Trenin is a guy who looks like he's going to be a real nice fit in the system, and Brandon Duhaime is the same. They both can skate. They bring some size to Colorado's bottom 6, which was a major issue last year. They were pretty undersized. So I thought it was a great deadline. Obviously, we'll see how things play out, but so far so good.
Evan Raoul from Colorado Hockey Now joining us here on the Oil Stream Pregame Show. Matt Iwanyk, YouTube Trev with you here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Was there any holes that you think Joe Sakic maybe didn't fill, or do you look at this team and think for the most part, like, look, injuries can happen and there's other things that may play out, but for the most part, this team is pretty solid top to bottom?
Yeah, I think anybody looking at this team probably would have said that it would have been wise for them to go out and get a goaltender. Maybe someone that could step in if Georgiev fails in the playoffs, but they didn't go out and do that. They kind of stuck with what they have because it really is Georgiev's net. So if he fails, then they're kind of in trouble either way. The other thing I would have said, maybe get a depth defenseman. You can never have too many defensemen going into the playoffs. But other than that, I think the team is really built well. We've already seen it through 3 games that just the Middlestad move, getting him in the second line spot and pushing everyone kind of down the lineup, it's making a big difference because Ross Colton now doesn't have to be a second line center. He can be a third line center where he's a much more natural fit.
You bring up the goaltending there. This team, when they won the Cup a couple years ago, it was Darcy Kemper in net, but now he's with Washington. How has Georgiev played this season? And overall, what's the confidence level that you have that this is a guy that might be able to lead this team back to the promised land?
Confidence level, I think, is TBD right now. I think that's kind of everyone's feelings here in Colorado because, listen, he was great last year during the regular season. I think he maybe played too many games in the regular season last year, and when the playoffs rolled around, he was just okay. He wasn't great in the first round, which obviously they weren't able to beat the Kraken. This year, it's been a lot more inconsistent during the regular season. He had some pretty low lows, but since the All-Star break, he has been better. They've been getting used to Sandin in there more to give him a little bit more of a break. Not having Paul Francouz is kind of a big deal this year because they haven't had that backup that they truly trust. But he's had to play too many games in Georgiev. So it's really, I think Avs fans are kind of in wait-and-see mode with Georgiev because they want to see what he can do in the playoffs if he's heading into that next year of his contract. So they really got to see it because I think they put a good team in front of him and they just need him. And it's probably a lot like Edmonton. They just need their goalie not to lose them the game because the team in front of them is just good enough to win it other than that.
The Avs, 89 points in 67 games this year. They are the highest scoring team in the league. Obviously, everyone knows about the top players like a Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar and Rantanen. For you, who's a player that maybe isn't being talked about enough and almost like an unsung hero or, just a forgotten player, and when it comes to being talked about when it comes to the Avs' success this season?
Well, before his injury, I think Logan O'Connor probably would have been that guy. He's really having his best season in the NHL in that bottom 6, and any line he gets on, he's basically the fixer. Their possession numbers increase, all that stuff. So he really was a big piece of this team that they now don't have. Beyond him, it's Nichushkin, who they just got back, and it's Sam Girard, I would say, on defense, who since coming back from the Players program and the NHL program in December, he's probably played the best hockey of his career. And a big reason they were probably able to trade Bowen Byram is because Sam Girard has been so good at both ends of the ice. So I would say Nichushkin and Girard are kind of the two guys that, maybe don't get talked about as much around the league, but they're just huge pieces of this team and have been a big part of their success this year.
Just a couple more questions left for our guest, Evan Earl from Colorado Hockey Now. When it comes to the captain of the team, Gabriel Landeskog, is there a timeline? Is there a chance we're going to see him again with the Avs this season, whether it be regular season or postseason?
Not regular season. He's definitely not coming back for the regular season. Playoffs are still very much up in the air. It wouldn't be the first round if he does come back. He had the surgery last year, May 10th, I believe. So that's probably the earliest he would come back because it's a 12 to 16 month recovery. I'm not betting on him coming back this year. There's no NHL player that's ever had this surgery and come back. So I think the Avs are going to take it slow. As much as Landeskog is probably going to want to push to get back in there, the Avs have to be patient. He's under contract for 5 more years. They don't want him to just come back too early and have to go through this whole process again. So there's a chance he comes back in the playoffs, but the Avs would have to go deep and everything kind of would have to go pretty perfectly for that to happen.
And we've talked a lot about how deep the Western Conference is this season. You can make an argument that whether it be the Avs, the Oilers, the Golden Knights, the Canucks, the Jets, the Stars, they all have legitimate cases to be made that they're going to be the team representing the West in the Stanley Cup Finals. We've tried breaking down who we think are the best teams in the West and rank them in order. I'm just going to put this in the Central. For you, how would you rank, power rank the top 3 teams in the Central when it comes to the Jets, Avs, and the Stars right now?
Oof. Oh, boy. Well, I'm sure it's just like the Pacific where all these teams are just so tight together. So after the deadline, honestly, before the deadline, if the Avs hadn't gone out on a second-line center, I wouldn't have had them at the top because I think that was something they were really lacking. I do think this pushes them over the top, that Casey Middlestad move, because now they have a guy behind McKinnon who can create offense. So I have them at the top, and I actually have Winnipeg at number 2 because I think they're just so stingy defensively. They're so structured. They added a big time scorer into Foley and a nice center in Monahan, and they have the ultimate equalizer in that Connor Hellebuck. And then at third, I have Dallas, who it's not like they're a distant third. They're still a really good team. It's just that Jake Ottinger, I don't think he's been very good this year, and I don't know if people are talking about that. So unless he figures things out, that's why I have them in third place.
Well, Evan, I really appreciate the time and the insight in the Colorado Avalanche. Enjoy the game tonight. It should be a fun one down at Rogers Place.
Yeah, you too, guys. Thanks for having me on.
And there's Evan Rule from Colorado Hockey, and now giving us the insight into the opponent for the Edmonton Oilers, which is the Avs. Again, the Oilers haven't played them since April of last year. They will now play them 3 times in advance of the end of the regular season. Matt Iwanyk, YouTube Trev with you here on the Oil Stream pregame show. Our question of the night, which Trev has now put up into the YouTube chat, keeps going away from me here. Who is the dragon the Oilers need to slay the most? The Avalanche or the Golden Knights? In the YouTube chat, it is 64% for the Golden Knights. I'm going to update my Twitter poll that I have on my own account. It's gone down a little bit, 60% saying the Vegas Golden Knights. So the majority of people still vastly saying that the Vegas Golden Knights are the team to beat when it comes to the Edmonton. In terms of like the top team, I guess, again, they have to beat both of them potentially. We get that. But for the sake of the question, who's the real dragon? And it's looking like the Vegas Golden Knights. Trev just shaking his head a little bit over there.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I mean, everyone has their own opinions, right? And that's what makes this awesome. But I'm very surprised. I thought it would be at least, well, it's kind of getting a little bit closer now. But yeah, I think it's very obvious to me, in my opinion. Avalanche, clear front runner, is the biggest dragon.
The majority of Oiler fans are not with you there,
Yeah,
Trev.
but
We'll see how the poll keeps going for the rest of the show. Throughout the next hour, we will get into the Oilers locker room. Hear from the coach, Chris Knoblauch. We'll hear from Edmonton Oilers player Evander Kane. We'll hear from you into the Nasty chat, as well as the Paris Jewelers inbox 780-218-9999. And we'll get the game changers for Damon Bunting, Remax Salipa momentarily. We'll go into the locker room right away with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins of the Edmonton Oilers. As the Oilers, they met with the media earlier today. They had an optional skate today. They didn't have the full skate. This is going to be the second of the 4-game homestand, already beating the Washington Capitals. Let's now hear from Ryan Nugent-Hopkins of the Oilers.
This team, you guys have both sort of loaded up a little bit, both rested. Feel like it kind of sets up for a really good challenge?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Every time we play these guys over the last few years, they're always good games, and they're always high pace. So, yeah, I think both teams are kind of rolling right now, and it's a little weird that we haven't played them up until this point, but both teams are kind of solidified in their rosters and stuff. So, yeah, it's gonna be a good test for us, and I know we're gonna be ready for it.
There aren't a lot of teams in the league that can come in and say match you guys skill for skill. They might be one of them. Just maybe a thought of the level of skill that's in the lineup on both sides tonight, yourself included, that kind of was on display here.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they have some of the best players in the world. A lot of talent. I mean, their power play unit alone is highly elite, so we got to take care of that. But yeah, we don't want to get into a kind of a run and gun game and just trade chances back and forth. But we got to know that we got to make it hard on their skill and don't give up anything easy.
What do you think you guys have developed, learned since the playoff series against them?
I think our team dynamic has definitely changed a lot. I mean, we've seen it this year. We're winning a lot of games 2-1, 3-2 that we're just kind of hanging around in, and it's our defending that's getting the job done for us, and scoring kind of later in games to put us up. So I think that's something that we've been trying to get to over the past few years, and obviously we want to continue to get better at it and continue to work on it, but it's a step that we've taken in the right direction.
So when Makar is going back to retrieve a dump in or start a breakout, is Is that a whole different set of problems or way to defend than other defensemen?
Yeah, I mean, I think the quicker, a good skater like that, the quicker you can kind of get on him, the better. Obviously, you don't want him to have too much time to skate with it, to make plays. He can get up the ice really quick. So even without the puck, you know he's going to be jumping. So you trying to join the rush. So you got to be prepared for that. But a lot of the time it's just containing guys like that, and we've played him enough in the past to know how he plays. So we got to be ready for it tonight.
Ryan, I know Connor doesn't put a lot of focus on something like the scoring race, but with McKinnon in town, is it do the rest of you guys just see what he's done all season long?
Well, yeah, I mean, of course we know what Nate's done this year and years past. I mean, they're two of the best players in the league, and their points show that as well. I know that we don't think or worry about it too much, and I don't think Connor does either. I think, especially at this point, the focus is winning hockey games.
This is the Oil Stream pregame show. Matt Iwanyk, YouTube Trev with you here. That was Ryan Nugent-Hopkins speaking to the media earlier this morning. We're live on TuneIn, on iHeartRadio, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, as well as those watching us on YouTube. Your thoughts, 780-218-9999, Paris Jewelers inbox, or in the nasty chat. Kevin saying, not sure why everyone thinks Avs are so good past their big three. Contain McKinnon, stomp that bottom six. Watch it happen. No one has depth like the Oilers forward, even the cheating Vegas Golden Knights. I think that's very disrespectful to the Colorado Avalanche to say that it's just their big three. I don't think you could get to being the best scoring team in the entire National Hockey League by being just your big three. There was other players beyond Rantanen, McKinnon, and McCarr then at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're looking at there, Valeri Nichushkin, who's actually still a pretty solid player, Arturi Lehkonen, and, Miles Wood. He's kind of had a little underwhelming season, you could say. But I think Casey Middlestad in his short, 2-3 games, he's looked all right being in the Avalanche organization. So I think it's definitely, they got a lot of pieces. It's not just Nathan McKinnon, obviously, that helps tremendously. But, say contain McKinnon is like saying contain McDavid. Every team, that's what they draw up. The coach is probably like, hey guys, obviously Nathan McKinnon, we gotta try and he's having the best year of his career to date. So you can't contain him. You can only try to slow him down, but you can't even do that this season.
I'm just trying to see goals wise this season. They've got only 3 guys who have scored more than 20 goals this season. The Edmonton Oilers, they've got 4. The Oilers have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys who have over 10 goals. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The Avalanche have 11 guys over 10 goals this season. So, really similar in a sense when it comes to those two teams. So if you're going to sit there and say that the Colorado Avalanche are only the top 3, it'd be the same with the Oilers. And look, if you could contain McKinnon or you can contain McDavid, you're going to have a good chance to beat either of those hockey teams just right off the bat. You contain those guys, yeah, that's going to help you go win those hockey games if you're the opponents. But as Trev just said, 1, it's easier said than done to just contain McKinnon. But 2, then just say it's only 3 players. That's very disrespectful for a team. That also, the one thing that their top guys at least have, that the Oilers' top guys do not have, they've won the ring. They know what it takes to go for those extra 8 more wins. The Oilers didn't get any more wins after the 2 rounds. They got those extra 8 more wins to win that Stanley Cup. So that's still there for them. VR Montenegro saying Vegas goaltending and defense are superior to the Avs offense. Is a push more or less. And Gorgeous George saying still think Oilers can beat the Avs. Still have to prove they can do it against the Vegas Golden Knights. And that all is coming to just our poll question, which is, who's the real dragon the Edmonton Oilers have to slay this season? Is it the Avs or the Golden Knights? The Avs. They just passed the Golden Knights in the YouTube chat poll, 51-49. But if we average this out, 61% are saying the Vegas Golden Knights on my Twitter poll, Trev. So it's come down in your favor. You've convinced people to your side. So congratulations on that one.
I like that. They know what they're talking about. Anyone who picked the Avs, they definitely know what they're talking about. But it is close, right? It's not, I'm saying the Avs are, it is very close. I can see reasons why you might think the Golden Knights are a steeper competition to the Edmonton Oilers. You look at it last year, roll 4 lines. That's one thing you could say. They don't have the Golden Knights. They don't have the McKinnons, right? But they got 4 lines that can burn you, and so that's a very good argument.
This has come up in the Nasty Chat a few times. I'll just quickly go into the I guess. Whoever that is in the Nasty Chat. Just where's Tommy today? I know Tommy's talked. I think it was last week you mentioned his grandmother passed away. Today was the funeral, so he's spending time with his family. So that's why I'm here on the pregame show and Dusty's doing the postgame show. Trev's always here, so he's just here. But that's what's going on here, and that's why you're stuck with me on this Saturday night ahead of a pivotal game down at Rogers Place. We'll get the game changers momentarily, but Eden texts us, "Evening, boys. I think Vegas is the bigger dragon because unless the Avs or Oilers cross over, they're not going to meet until the conference finals." I will say worst case scenario for the Oilers, it's not going to be an easy road to the Stanley Cup final no matter what. I would say having to go through both Vegas and the Avs is the worst case. I think you only want to see one of them. You hope that either the Avs get knocked off in the Central if you're already having to play Vegas here. Actually, just going to hope that in any way, I think, in general. But if the Oilers have to go through Vegas and Colorado, I'll say this. If that's the path they have to go to the Stanley Cup, they'll be very much worthy Stanley Cup champions this year. If those are the 2 teams that eventually they have to go through for 2 of the 3 rounds to get to the Stanley Cup, they will be very worthy of the Stanley Cup. The only fear I would have is that just so mentally drained, can they finish it off in that 4th round? Whereas the East will have the advantage. Last year, we talked about how the East was so strong and the West was wide open. There was a lot of criticism that, I know leading up to the Ekholm deal that changed people's mind, but it was the Oilers need to go all in. The East-West is so open. Well, what happened was the East beat themselves up, and the Vegas Golden Knights came in and just rolled in the Stanley Cup final. Is that what we potentially could see this year, that whoever comes through the East, which is quite open, I would say, or are they going to come and take advantage of the 6 Western teams that are just beating themselves up?
I could definitely see that. And just looking at it, you couldn't have said it any better, Matty. It's this year's playoffs just on the West. It's crazy. Looking at the teams, who knows? You got the Vancouver Canucks, right? They're just having a monster year. The Winnipeg Jets, they're, very, very good in their own right. So who knows? It could both these teams could be out first round. You never know.
Yeah.
And that's what happened last year. That's why it was so frustrating, because the Oilers, I think it was drawn up, it couldn't have been drawn up any better. You beat the Vegas Golden Knights. You're probably going to beat the Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche. And that's why this year I'm very scared of the Avalanche, because they got taken out by the Seattle Kraken last year. The Seattle Kraken, are you kidding me? I'm sorry, they're a good team, but there's no way. No one had the Seattle Kraken upsetting the Colorado Avalanche. And so with that, and then you look at Nathan McKinnon, who probably hates losing more than anyone in the entire NHL. It's a redemption. He's going to want to redeem himself. So are all the Avalanche. So that's another reason why.
Let's get to Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting, RE/MAX Elite. Damon Bunting is a consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton, and among RE/MAX realtors, he and his team would love to help you find the right home or make the move from your current home. Community-driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out at DamonBunting.com or visit Instagram at DamonBuntingRealEstate. Usually Matt Cassian would join the show today. He is busy today, so he's unable to join us. Walking Gage is off to the game. So Game Changers, we're going to go through the storylines of today's game between myself, between YouTube Trev, and you, the listener, here on the Oil Stream pregame show. And the first storyline for tonight's game and Game Changers, is this game not just perfect for Saturday night at 8 o'clock? Is this game, these 2 teams could have met this late in the season on any of the other days of the week, but there's just something special, and it's amazing that it actually fell on the Saturday night, 8 o'clock. We get angry for 8 o'clock starts all the time. This past week against Washington on Wednesday, a lot of people angry because puck drops not till 8:22. It's a Wednesday night. People have to work the next day, but people are okay with the 8 o'clock on Saturday night because this is just Canadian tradition. You got the doubleheader on Hockey Night in Canada. But now, not only that, we get this heavyweight tilt. And we've had some message in the Nasty Chat. We're going to have the big boxing fight later in July between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. We'll get to that right away here, Trev. But like Saturday night's fight night too. And now this is where the heavyweights. Is this not just perfect for all of us? That we get to see these two teams finally for the first time in almost a calendar year. And it's falling when these two teams are both rolling in hot. 7-2-1 for both of them in their last 10. The Oilers have won their last 2. The Avs won their last 5. And we get it on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock on Hockey Night in Canada. What could be better? Your mic's off.
No,
there you go.
I thought it got stuck there. I was like, why can't I hear myself? Yeah, Matty, it literally, it can't get any better than this. I had this game circled on my schedule maybe months ago, right when the season had opened. I'm like looking, I'm like, what? You have to wait? We have to wait like 6 months to watch this game? Yeah, so it's highly anticipated matchup. I love the storylines coming into this one. Like you said, obviously both teams they're coming in hot, and that's why this is so good, right? You get both teams pretty much, obviously the Avalanche are a little banged up, but they're playing at their best right now. And what more could you want as a fan, as just an observer? Like if you're not a fan, like tune in tonight, it'll make you a fan. Like this is it's great. And Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, the big names, the big stars. What more could you want? This is honestly right away. Playoffs are right around the corner. The weather's getting nice out there, Matty.
Next week we get some snow next week.
Gotta be. Are you serious?
Have you not seen this forecast?
No.
Like, it's tomorrow. Enjoy tomorrow right away.
Well,
tomorrow's supposed to be 18 degrees. Monday, 13. Wednesday, -6. Thursday, -6. Both days, 60% chance of flurries. The overnight low on Thursday night is -15. Wednesday night's -14. We're going to go from 18 to -14 in like 3 days.
that's not fun.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
The great news is, like, we're almost at spring. It's almost there. It's almost done. We'll have to, and like a -5's nothing. Like, really, who cares? It's just weird when you have this beautiful weather, and then it's still going to drop once again. But you're right. Now it's playoff time. You get McDavid, you get Leon, you get Evan Bouchard going up against McKinnon, against Rantanen, against Makar. Like, it's just set up so perfectly. This is what you want to watch. This is where the NBA does extremely well. Is that their sport is designed that the stars could go meet later on in playoff rounds, but they could also advertise their stars. Like, I will say this, the NHL need to do a better job of just marketing this game probably in the US, because we were talking about it earlier in the show. Like, if we wanted to talk about the top players in the game of hockey, what did you put for top? Like, did you say 4 of the top 10?
Yeah, I think 4 for sure. And you could maybe.
And I would argue that it might not even be top 10. It might be even higher.
Yeah, you could say top 5. Maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I know I did a top 5 video like on my channel before the season started, and I had Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, Leon Draisaitl, and Connor McDavid all in there in the top 5. So, yeah, I don't know what other 2 teams. No, you don't get that anywhere else in the league, right? These are the 2 teams, that just have that high-end talent, and it's going to be on full display tonight. I hope that's for sure. Wow, what a snooze fest that would be. We tune into a 1-0. Oh, that'd be brutal.
Well, that's going to be game changer number 2. We'll get to that right away here. But just even on these teams, like, again, high power, everyone playing well, the teams playing well. Like, even just the Avs, what happened in their last game, they take on the Vancouver Canucks. They were down 3-0. They come back and win in overtime 4-3 in that game. They ended up actually spending the night in Vancouver and then practicing in Vancouver, I think, yesterday before coming here to Edmonton. But that's just like, the Vancouver Canucks are a good hockey team. And the Avs fall down 3, but still found a way to turn it around in that game and go get their 2 points that they needed. Not very helpful to the Edmonton Oilers. The Canucks still got a point in all of that. But that's just how good the Avs are going. And then you look at the Edmonton Oilers and what have they done in their last 2? People wanted to see different things, in Columbus. People want to see that road trip. There was in the middle part of that road trip, not great. But in Pittsburgh, dominated. Against Washington, dominated. And they're feeling really good about themselves. So it just is the perfect storm all around in terms of the stars, in terms of the teams, in terms of the recent play, and in terms of when they're playing. Like, this could have been a Thursday at 7, and it would have been awesome. It would have been great. But there's just that. Did you not feel that in the air today too, though? Like, there was that little something in the air.
Yeah.
Knowing that these two teams were about to meet.
Yeah, these games, if you're a follower of hockey, these are the games that you wake up with a smile on your face, because you gotta watch some of the best players in the world, and it's crazy. But in saying what you just said, like, the Vancouver Canucks, they're not they're no slouch, right? And I think on Friday's show, that was Dusty's, that's good. Or no, I says pardon. It was his I says pardon because their record against playoff teams this year, it's like really good. And like, the Vancouver Canucks. And so, and then just in saying they have such a crazy good record against all of these playoff teams, and then Colorado comes in and does that. It's like, it's impressive. I don't think any other team in the NHL could do that to the Vancouver Canucks, but the Colorado Avalanche, really. So, it's crazy.
Let's get to game changer number 2, and that's, what do you expect from tonight's game? These are two teams that are very high-power offenses. The Avs are the highest-scoring team in hockey. Both have great power plays. The Oilers second in the National Hockey League. The Avs are 5th. Avs have a better PK than the Edmonton Oilers by a little bit there. But these are two teams. We just mentioned all the great offensive players that these two teams have. Are we going to, if you're these coaches, if you're Jared Bednar, if you're Chris Knoblauch, are you playing a game which goes for more of that offense, or are you trying to bring things and shut things down defensively? And are we going to see more of that tighter defense? Are we going to see more of playoff hockey tonight, I guess, if you will? Where this is a game where it's a 2-1 hockey game or something. What was the final score when these two teams met in April last year? Like, it was like a 2-1 hockey game or something like that.
Went into overtime. Evan Bouchard got the OT winner.
Was
I think
it 1-1 going into OT?
3-2.
Was it 3-2?
3-2 or 2-1. Something like that. But it was low scoring.
Is that the type of game you're going to see these two teams try to do? Or is this a game where we're going to see McKinnon and McDavid and both of their casts come out and try to put on the show and try to show one another that, no, we've got the powerful offense?
Yeah, man, I've been trying to put my finger on that all day. I honestly don't know. I could see it being very stingy. Obviously both teams, they know the talents, right? So they're going to be, okay, like if we have to question a pass, let's probably not make that pass, right? So in saying that, you do have the highest scoring. You got the score?
No, I'm pulling it up right away. I just want to pose the question a little bit differently. I was just going to wait till you finished.
Okay, well, here, yeah, let me hear it.
You're Chris Knoblauch.
Yeah.
How do you want to see this team go out and play?
Not
as the fan now.
Oh, gosh.
You're as the coach of this team. Are you going out there going like, hey, no, we want to keep things very tight. We want to play defensive. We want to be strong in front of Skinner, knowing that when we get our chances, we'll have a chance to score.
Yeah. Yeah, don't cheat offense, I'd say. Okay, boys, listen up. It's your head coach speaking. I'm just joking. No, but I'd very defensive mindset. If you have to question a play tonight against this Colorado Avalanche team, it's probably not a good play, and you probably shouldn't do it, right? So safe plays, very safe plays. They got to play fast, and saying that it's a lot easier said than done. But I think you can't cheat offense tonight, especially with a team that is so highly skilled. That's, but I don't know. Like, to your original question, I could say I think there's going to be a blown lead tonight just from watching Colorado. They might not start strong, which they haven't been doing as of late. So maybe the Oilers, they start strong. But
the Oilers have had their struggles with starting off strong
and
for a while,
that's the thing.
too.
I literally, there's so many ways this game can play out, Maddie. I'm just trying to, I don't know. I'm lost. It could be a snooze fest. It could be like 1-0, 2-0.
I don't think it's a snooze fest. I think if it's a 2-1 hockey game or something like that,
you're still going to be like,
everyone's going to be on the edge of their seat.
Yeah.
Because of the high-powered offense, that it's going to feel like if you get to the third period and it's a 1-1 hockey game, that's going to feel like overtime playoffs.
Yeah.
That entire third period is going to feel like overtime. You're going to be feeling like next goal is going to win this hockey game. And it's going to be tight, but you're going to be nervous because every time the Oilers take a shot, you're going to hope it gets past and it's going to go in the back of the net. And every time the Avs take a shot, you're going to be worried that somehow it's going to trickle in. It's going to, the intensity is going to be fully there. That I don't think it'd be I don't think there's, if I had to put odds on this, less than a 5% chance tonight's a snooze fest.
No,
don't care about the outcome of how it's played, but it's not going to be a snooze fest.
I agree. I should have reworded that properly, but yeah, it doesn't matter if you're going into even if it is a low scoring game, it's going to be super intense heading into the third, whatever it may be. That's a good way to put it, Matty.
2-1 overtime last year, second last game of the season.
That's what it was.
2-1, yeah. 2-1. Trying to see if I can find the game prior that those two teams met. 6-5 overtime, the Oilers lost.
Cale Makar got that one, OT winner?
Let me double check. But so that there's that's what these two teams can do. They could go and play that high scoring game,
that's what I'm saying.
They're going to go play it very tight. Both times though, overtime.
Yeah. So one
So maybe
goal,
that's what we're looking at here tonight, overtime.
maybe one goal overtime, but I think for sure
Rantanen got that one.
Rantanen got
Yeah.
that one.
So maybe there's another one.
I don't know. I know I was working those games last night.
There was in January last year, it was a 3-2 overtime loss. And that
McCarr
one
get
was
that?
McCarr.
Yeah.
So
that
all
was
three
one.
games last year was overtime. And it had a mix. You had the 2-1 overtime, you had the 3-2, which is middle scoring, and then you had the 6-5 high scoring game.
So if you're a betting man and you hear what we're putting out there for you,
Now we've given you nothing.
it might go to overtime.
You know, we are going to go look at Cool Bet a little bit later. I'll throw those numbers out there, whatever they are.
Nice.
This is Game Changers presented by Damien Bunting, Remax Elite. Matt Iwanyk, YouTube Trev with you here on the Oil Stream pregame show. Our final Game Changer note for tonight's game, it's the race for the Hart Trophy. You've got Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers. You've got the league leader in scoring, Nathan MacKinnon. Trev, in your eyes, who is the favorite for the Hart at this moment? And I'm going to throw the 10 Lidsey in there. Okay, here's my quick rant on this. And I just failed here because I started with the Hart Trophy. The Ted Lindsay Award should be the true MVP of the National Hockey League. That's the award we should all be focused on more than the Hart Trophy. The reason for that being is it's awarded by the players. The players vote on it, not the media. And I'm not trying to rip on the media here, but if you're going to ask me who knows game the best, it's going to be game. Game recognizes game. I'm going to trust the players more than I trust the media when it comes to deciding who the MVP is. I'm going to go with the Ted Lindsay Award. So that hockey's got to start changing this. We got to start looking at the true MVP of the National Hockey League is the Ted Lindsay Award. Also, it is defined better because it's the player with the best season, not most valuable to their team, which is just so... There's too much weirdness that goes on there. There's too many... Like, the definition, everyone could... It's very subjective. I hate it. Can't stand it. Don't like it. Trev, I know on your YouTube channel, above average, you've got something cooking for this weekend that people could pay attention to right on this subject when it comes to the MVP. So let's get a little early preview from you on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's such good arguments for you can make great arguments for both players. MacKinnon having a career year, it's just been unreal to watch. And like I said from earlier in the pregame show, if you want someone to score a goal, there's two players in the world that you're going to put out, like if you had the option. And right now, those two players are Connor McDavid and Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon, he could have won it way back in, I think it was 2018 when Taylor Hall won it, which MacKinnon, I think, did have the better season that year. So he's been there. He's been in the conversation for quite some time now. And maybe foreshadowing in that video, I could see it this year being his year. You look what Evan said, who we had on earlier. Nathan MacKinnon, he'll do anything to win a game. And I really can't say the same for Connor McDavid. Like, when I mean anything, I mean anything. Like, Nathan MacKinnon, he can drop him, right? He can play physical. He can, and, that's one thing that does... I wouldn't say hinder McDavid's game. That's never really been a part of his game, but that's something that I notice, and I think that's a valuable asset, especially going into the playoffs. And that's something, McDavid, in saying that he does get more physical in the playoffs, he starts laying the body a little bit more. But I mean, unless Connor McDavid does something miraculous where he does achieve the 100 assists, which has only been done by 3 other players before, McDavid's going to have to do something crazy. He's going to have to do something crazy. And I mean, right now, if he does finish with more points, if he does finish the Art Ross, I don't even think that's as good enough. And
I think it would have to be the 100 assists and winning the...
Yeah, if he does that,
Art
then
Ross.
I think it's hard to not look at those numbers and be like, okay, well, MacKinnon, yeah, he might have been the most consistent player all season long. He's done this, and, there's other valuable assets to his game. But when you look at McDavid, he just put up 100 apples, which hasn't been done since, I think, 1993, 94. So it's been quite some time, right? So you got to look at the headlines. But as far as, who is the most valuable player to... I think you really have to look at Nathan MacKinnon. This, if I was a voter, if I had a vote, I'd probably give it to MacKinnon. That's my choice for this year, and that might be a hot take. I'd love to hear in the nasty chat as well. Like, what are your thoughts going in? Who do you think's having a more MVP-like season? But I mean, those are the two guys. I'm sorry, Austin Matthews. It's been. goals are, I don't know. Like, yeah, it's super impressive what he's been able to do. He's slowed down as of late, but I don't think he's getting 70. He'll probably get 60, but I don't think that's been done now the last 3 years in a row. I think they like to switch things up. So I really do think it's between McKinnon and Connor McDavid.
No goals so far tonight for Austin Matthews. He's got 55 goals. How many games have the Leafs played? Just trying to do this quickly here.
One game more than, or now 2 games more than the Oilers. Whatever that might be.
He's on pace for 68 goals at this moment.
So he slowed out a little bit.
Just a little bit off. But, yeah, like, it would have had to have been 75, I think, for Matthews to get into this conversation. It's the same that I would go with McDavid. It has to be around, like, the 100. But then, again, you have to get the points there with that. Like, you have to be the leader in points over McKinnon on this to surpass him. I also, like, if for those that missed, we played Ryan Nugent-Hopkins earlier in the show, and, like, he was asked about the race, too. And, you know, the answer he gave basically was that the players aren't focused on the individual awards. And that, I don't think this Hart/Ted Lindsay matters to McDavid. I don't think it matters to the team. And I think for the Edmonton Oilers fans, it shouldn't matter to you either. Allow Nathan McKinnon to have it. He deserves it. He's a great hockey player. I'm going to be pushing really hard for the Nations League or whatever, the Four Nations Cup, whatever the heck they want to call that, in the Olympics. I want them on the same line together because I just want to see what they could do together. Like, how incredible is that going to be if you could get McDavid with McKinnon? And I know people want Hyman there and they want to get that connection. I just also would like throw Bedard on there. I don't care. Like, I just want to see this fantasy hockey being played because we get to watch Hyman with McDavid, right? Let me see this weird, like, this other stuff happen, right? Like,
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
I want to play NHL 24 on with Team Canada, basically. But it'll allow him to get his due because for Oilers, this isn't about individual awards. No one cares if no one is going to care at the end of the season if Connor McDavid won MVP. All that now, it's all about the cup. It's all about that one ring. And if you ask Connor McDavid, I'm sure he'll tell you the exact same. He's won them. He doesn't need that extra Hart or Ted Lindsay right now. He wants that Stanley Cup. So, you know, I don't even think Oilers fans should be that worried if Connor McDavid doesn't get it. I'll be intrigued just to see what the finalists, though, for the Hart Trophy are. Yeah. And the Ted Lindsay. How the players view the top 3 of the season and how the media views the top 3 of the season.
Yeah.
Because as of right now, I'll call it, the media is going to say it's Matthews, it's McDavid, and it's McKinnon. Where does Kucherov fit into this?
See, and that's the thing. Like, he's just
what do the players think? Yeah, what do the players think? Are they going to put Austin Matthews in there? Or are they going to take him out for Kucherov? Or is there someone that we're not talking about here? I'm fascinated to just almost see who the finalists are. And, yeah, if McKinnon wins it, he deserves it. He's a great hockey player. And I agree with you. Back when Taylor Hall won it, I thought McKinnon was the more worthy candidate that year.
Yeah. For sure. And, you know, just talking about, while we're still talking about this, it's the MVP of the season, right? It's a whole season. And if you're looking at it, I'm sure they might look into this, but McDavid.
Wait, which one are you talking about?
For the Hart.
And most valuable to their team for this season.
Yes. To their team. And but if if we remember, which I'm sure you all remember, McDavid, this was his worst start to his career in the season. Like, he was terrible. He went from like 90th in league scoring to like top 15 in 1 week. It was crazy. But to start out, he wasn't that good. He wasn't that good.
You want to know something though? That might be an argument for Connor McDavid.
I was just going to bring that up.
Is that what you're going to go with?
But yeah, and
I'll let you continue.
And then that's true, right? Because you're going to have someone. Well, that's even more impressive to be like out of the top 100 than to just.
I'm not saying that.
Okay. Oh.
I'm saying look how bad he was to start the year. Like, how he wasn't him, and what were the Oilers?
Right. Yeah.
Because if it's to your team, it's to your team that when Connor McDavid had a bad start to the season, the Oilers fired their coach and they were at the bottom of the National Hockey League. They literally were 32nd in the National Hockey League after a decent chunk of the season. We're not talking about 1 or 2 games.
Right.
And then he started playing well, and he's carried them up to Stanley Cup contenders again. That actually, for the Hart Trophy argument, there's actually
might be a winning case.
There's a winning case there if you want to go with the actual true definition, which has not been followed year by year by the media, which is also why it's a joke. But there's been some years where they use that, some years they don't use that. But if you actually go by the definition then, in theory, actually, I will say, You can make the argument that Connor McDavid should win the Hart Trophy this year, and Nathan MacKinnon should win the Ted Lindsay Award this year as the best player in the National Hockey League this season.
I think you're onto something, Matty. Those are very valid points. I never really thought of that. So it's true, though, right? He brought him from nothing.
And
they were nothing.
He didn't play well, and that's always what happens if they're not there. Well, what happens if they're also not playing well? The team was nothing, and then he started playing well, and boom, they're doing very well. So that's what we got to watch tonight, though.
Yeah. And
right
at the
now,
end of the day, very valid, very great seasons, but from both players, I don't think there is a wrong answer.
No, and as this text comes in, McDavid is the best player for sure, but he wins the trophy too much, so I'm sure they'll use it as an excuse to give to MacKinnon. And truthfully, I'm good with that. And I'm sure McDavid would be good with that too, because I don't know. Nathan MacKinnon's a player that at the end of his career too should be able to say, "I want a Hart Trophy" or Ted Lindsay or whatever it is. Like he is that good of a hockey player, and based on their seasons, I agree with Trev from earlier today. Right now, Connor McDavid 1, Nathan MacKinnon 2. When it comes to top players in the National Hockey League, I will say number 3, Leon Draisaitl. I'm not going to go lower.
Oh, wow.
Who are you going to put 3?
I'd probably put Makar.
I love Makar.
He's into. I just. It was cool being able to watch him for the Brooks Bandits, and so that was something I'll always remember. I'll cherish those memories. But there's games I'd go to, and they'd win 16-0. And it's supposed to be fairly competitive, but they was just Cale Makar was just toying with these guys. It was insane.
I remember going into that Western Conference Final against the Oilers, and there was look, I don't watch the Avs that closely all year, and that year I wasn't. But I love Cale Makar. I just love the style of player. But there'd be some people around Edmonton, some in the media that said he had no defensive game. And he's great offensively, but there's no defensive game, and McDavid's going to eat him up. And in that conference finals, you saw that Makar could go toe-to-toe. He can go up against anyone when it comes to with his defensive game and help take you down and shut you down. And it's no, this guy is the best defenseman in the world. Straight up.
I have vivid memory of him stripping the puck from Connor McDavid. Yep. Not once, not twice, but several times in that series. And it hasn't changed.
I'm a big Cale Makar fan.
Yeah, and
I have a hot take for you that I have to only say off the air.
Oh, okay.
There's only 30 minutes left in this show, less than.
Okay.
I'm not. It's also a Saturday night. I don't even get people pissed with me in some ways with that one. But yeah, no. Right now, I'll still put Leon 3. But then, would you put Leon 4?
Yep.
Or would you put him 5?
No, I have him 4.
So now, basically, we're saying the 4 of the top best players in hockey are playing in tonight's game. Yeah. Because at the start, it was 1 out of 10.
Well, I didn't want people ripping on me.
And then we said 4 out of 5, and now we're just it's 4 out of 4.
Yeah.
And you want to know something? Yeah, you could throw. There are some players you could throw out there that could maybe be in the argument for the top 4, but outside of people in Toronto, maybe I don't think a lot of people would have much of an argument if you said these are the 4 people, these are the 4 players, they're the top 4 best players in hockey. I think a lot of hockey people would look at them that's very valid and it's very fair.
The general consensus is that is the top 4 everywhere outside of Toronto.
So, before we get into the Oilers locker room, we're going to hear from Evander Kane momentarily here. That was Game Changers, brought to you by Damon Bunting, RE/MAX Elite. Damon Bunting is consistent, top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and amongst RE/MAX realtors. Check him out, damonbunting.com, or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. I don't know why this poll, I can't get it always coming up. But our question of the night, who's the dragon the Oilers need to slay the most? On YouTube, it has come in YouTube Trev's favor. Oh, it's because he has the name YouTube in it. The Colorado Avalanche getting 60% of the vote. I'll update my Twitter. 60% going to the Vegas Golden Knights. So
it's 50-50 essentially.
There's 2 more votes on my YouTube page. So yeah, or a Twitter page. So it's a wash right now. It started off strong in favor of people thinking at the Golden Knights were the real dragon the Oilers need to slay more than the Avalanche. It is now shifted after we spoke to Evan from Colorado Hockey News, as well as Trev making his case for the Avs. It's now 50-50. This is the Oilers Stream pregame show. Matt Iwanyk, YouTube Trev with you here as we get you set for Oilers Avs coming up just after 8 o'clock down at Rogers Place, the second of the double headers for Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. Right now, let's jump back into the Oilers locker room. Here's forward Evander Kane.
To get Colorado, but you guys have both loaded up a bit at the deadline. You're both well rested. Just maybe a thought on what this sets up for potentially.
Yeah, definitely a little strange to play a team in the West this late in the year, but I think we see them 3 times or twice at least over the next few weeks, so will be a good test for our group.
You guys have, you made some changes. Just maybe a thought on the depth that there is in your lineup now. You've added some pieces and different looks. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's been a couple of games thus far. I think tonight will be a good measuring stick for our group and to kind of see where we stack up. And I'm sure Colorado's excited about the matchup tonight, and I know we are.
They got McCarr, who's incredibly mobile, very good passer. As a forward, does that change anything you do on the forechecker when he's starting a breakout?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a great skater, great in his edges, and does a really good job of evading forecheckers. And I think it's just important to try to get on him as quick as possible and limit his time and space going back for pucks specifically.
Evander, these two teams look like they can go toe-to-toe skill-wise and offensively and that sort of thing. Who's a more physical team, do you think, at this point?
Not sure. We haven't played them this year yet. I think we definitely have guys that can play a physical brand of hockey when needed, and I think in the playoffs, obviously, that becomes a lot more consistent. So it'll be a fun matchup tonight.
We haven't talked to you since you set up Connor Brown there for that goal. What's the interaction between the two of you after something like that happens, and maybe in the following day or two, if lots of fans had things to say to you about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was great for Brownie to get the monkey off the back and get one to go by the goalie there, and I think we were all just really happy for him. I know it's difficult when you go on a long slump, and that was certainly extra long. So anytime you're an NHL player and you don't score that in that many games, it can be tough mentally, and I'm sure for him it's a big relief.
And that was Evander Kane of your Edmonton Oilers speaking to the media earlier today. I want to get to coolbet.com, which is the place if you're looking to sprinkle a little action on tonight's game. As Dustin Nilsson, he's built an exclusive for tonight's game. You only could get it at coolbet.com. The Edmonton Sports Talk parlay for tonight's game. I think Dusty, the way he tweeted earlier today, if you're expecting this game to be higher scoring, if you're expecting this game to have goals, this is the parlay for you. He's got Connor McDavid at 2+ points, Zach Hyman 1+ goals. So Hyman getting at least a goal, McDavid getting at least 2 points. Draisaitl and Bouchard both getting at least a point. And the Edmonton Oilers to win. So again, McDavid 2 points, Draisaitl, Bouchard 1 point, Hyman a goal, and the Oilers win tonight's game plus 625.
Those are some good picks.
That's not bad at all. Really, in a way with that, it doesn't even have to be that high scoring.
No, that's like if
McDavid could be on the Hyman goal.
And then one power play goal.
And some other goal. And Draisaitl and Bouchard could be part of the assists of the other goals, too.
Yeah, like that.
That doesn't even have to be that high scoring.
No, that could happen in 2 goals. It would have to happen in 2 goals. But
only available at CoolBet, with them being wonderful partners of Edmonton Sports Talk. They always give that little extra boosted number. So if you head to, any other betting site, you could try building that out, but you're not going to get that same value as you're going to get at CoolBet right now because they give us that boosted odds. There's the EST parlay that Dusty built earlier today. We're talking about last season. These two teams met all 3 times. They went to overtime. If you wanted to bet on this game going to overtime tonight, plus 342. I don't mind that at all.
Plus 342?
Plus 342.
Yeah, maybe I'll sprinkle in that, as they say.
Little sprinkle?
Yeah.
Little sprinkle. If you're a light better, $1, it's $3.42 as a return. Yeah.
It's not bad.
You put the $1 in, you win $3.42. Your bank account, after you lose that dollar, for the bet, goes back up $4.42. So
let's go.
All of last year, every game went to overtime. Are we going to have that repeated tonight down at Rogers Place? And hey, look, Avs just coming off an overtime game themselves as well. So it's just really hard to try to figure out. Here's what I'm excited about this game, is that now we could actually figure out, like, they seem evenly matched right now. It's hard to see who really has the true advantage going into this game. The only reason I'd give the Oilers the edge right now is that they're the home team. That's the reason I'll give the Oilers that edge. There should be a really good atmosphere down at Rogers Place tonight. But now we'll actually get to watch 60 minutes of a hockey game, potentially plus more, and try to now really gauge where the Oilers stand against this Colorado Avalanche team. And what's going to happen then the next time these two teams meet, or the next two times, we'd have a better idea of how this, but then also like, hey, what do the Oilers have to work on the rest of the season? This is an excellent litmus test for the Oilers to figure out just overall where do they stand when it comes to being the best team in the Western Conference. They don't get the Vancouver Canucks, I don't believe, again the rest of this season. Or do they get them one more time?
I think they get them one more time late.
Just quickly pulling it up. 13th. So they still get them. They get the Jets one more time. They get the Stars one more time, and they do see the Vegas Golden Knights. So they'll be seeing all the top teams in the West at the end of this regular season. This is good for the Edmonton Oilers. I like this. Last year, if I'm not mistaken, was a very soft end of the season. There were some difficult games in there, like that game against the Avs, second last game of the season, which we talked about, 2-1 overtime win. It was a very tight defensive hockey game. Got them, felt like this is getting them really set for the playoffs. But it was a very softer schedule down the stretch. This year, not as much, but I prefer this. I prefer getting the Oilers at this time of the year where it's very tight and we're getting all the teams ready to playing playoff hockey. I prefer that the Oilers have to play now all those top teams in the West at least once, just to know what they need to do to get ready for that team come playoff time.
Absolutely. And like one thing we haven't quite mentioned, but it's a little bit of a different look, right? Like last season, they were still pretty well riding shotgun. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, a lot. They were more than they'd like to. And this team is a lot deeper than when they played last. So you got the first line tonight, Connor McDavid, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Zach Hyman, who've been lights out. We talked about it, Zach Hyman. He's just give him the puck. He's scoring at all angles right now. So that's really cool to see. But the second line, I've really liked, and you wonder why Leon Draisaitl, he has a hard time finding chemistry with certain players, but the players, one in particular, Connor McDavid, he finds that chemistry with. He's fast. He's super fast. That's what Connor McDavid's known for, right? Is his speed. And what does his wingers have that are similar to Connor McDavid? Maybe not quite as similar, but they're fast. Ryan McLeod, he's a very shifty and speedy winger, sometimes center. Warren Foegele, when he gets going, sometimes he's got the 7 on the back of his jersey, and I think some nasties have said this all season long. I get mistaken for Warren Foegele and Connor McDavid every now and then. Not a lot, but the way they move on the ice, sometimes I'm like, that kind of look like McDavid out there. So he's got some speedy players to play with, and I think that's why that line has worked. And I love it, right? And then can the third line build success after last game? Connor Brown getting off the schneid, longest drought of his career. I don't know, but those are all options and stories that the Oilers didn't have last year, right? And Adam Henrique, the Evander Kane, Connor Brown. I'm really looking forward to see what that line can do. If all three lines continue to play like they have been, I think that makes them way, way more of a threat than last year, for sure.
On 2 guys and a goalie on Thursday. Set the line at 2.5 goals that Connor Brown ends the season with, which means, does he score 1 more, or does he score 2 or more? Cass and Gager both think he's getting to 3 or more to end the season.
Yeah, it's crazy what a goal can do. It honestly is crazy. Will he get more than 3? I'm with it. I could see it happening. I honestly can. When Warren Foegele, he had a terrible start to the season. He scored his first goal. The next shift, he went out. He scored again, and it was like he never looked back. He had so could that happen with Connor Brown? I wouldn't be surprised. It happens and he's allowed to just focus on playing. He doesn't have to worry every shift, every day he wakes up. The boys are probably bothering him a little bit, maybe some friendly jabs that they take every now and then. So. Yeah, it's just he can focus. That's one thing. It was haunting him every second, especially being in a Canadian market like Edmonton. Like, he said the fans were pretty nice for the most part, reaching out like, oh, you're going to get it. Well, he finally got it. Now he can just go play some hockey. And so, yeah, I 3 goals, I like that. He's going to do it. You heard it here first.
Zach Hyman was on pace, or is on pace for 69 goals. 59 goals, sorry. And went with, what does he finish with? Gager set the over-under, 52.5, and took the under. Says in the rest of the season, Hyman's only going to score 6 goals. Partly because everything's going to get more defensive. This was his mentality. Things get defensive. Goalies are locked in a little bit more. It's not going to happen. Me and Cass just laughed. Went, not a chance. He's not scoring just 6 goals the rest of the season with his play. I'm seeing your face there, Trev.
Well,
where do you think Zach Hyman finishes this season?
Well, he also thinks Mike Tyson or Jake Paul's going to lose to Mike Tyson. So
you have no idea what you're talking about.
I do.
Okay, I have to preface
how much fighting and boxing have you watched in the last 5 years?
Boxing?
Yeah.
Most of the biggest boxing fights I've watched.
Okay, same. And as far as
MMA doesn't matter to this because it has nothing to do with boxing.
They kind of
it has nothing to do with boxing. It has nothing to do with this discipline here.
Okay, we'll settle this
Here's
after.
what I'm going to say quickly here on this. No, you open this up. I start with this disclaimer. I think this is all a joke, and Tyson is just taking the paycheck, and the outcome is predetermined, and he's not going to try.
Then why are you taking me in all these videos of him training so hard?
I only take you in one. He's not going to try. But if Mike Tyson tries, he is going to destroy Jake Paul.
Destroy. Okay, I'm going to clip this video and send it the night that he gets knocked out.
I will say it that night, Trev, if you want, right before the fight starts. Here's the thing. Mike Tyson, if Jake Paul lands a punch on Mike Tyson, you think that's going to impact Mike Tyson much? I don't care about his age. The guy has had some of the toughest people. But you think Lennox Lewis has a light punch? He's handled tough punches. What's Jake Paul going to do if Mike Tyson lands just one punch? If Tyson just lands one punch, it's over. It's done.
Okay, you could say that, but I've also seen Mike Tyson on the Joe Rogan podcast a lot lately. What's he doing, huffing and puffing away? The guy hasn't been in the ring outside of
we sent you
junior
the videos.
Yeah, but he's looking okay, but Jake Paul's been doing this for grinding for the last 6 years. You guys are going to be very surprised. Look, and I want to say this. I can't stand Jake Paul. I hate him. I literally, if Mike Tyson knocks Jake Paul out, I'll be the happiest guy. If we watch the video, everyone's like, why is Trevor cheering? It's because I can't stand the guy. And I would be so pumped if Mike Tyson could finally end this guy's career. But I don't think it's going to happen, Matty.
I was telling you this before the show today. This is reminding me of Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, me going on 1260, and I'm having all these MMA people tell me how he's going to destroy Floyd Mayweather. And I have to keep arguing with these people that it's a different discipline. He's never boxed before. He doesn't have a chance against Floyd Mayweather. And what does Mayweather do? He KOs the guy. And Floyd Mayweather doesn't KO anyone. Mike Tyson is going to destroy Jake Paul if he cares.
Okay. You heard it here first, but...
I know you didn't hear it here first. You're hearing it from everybody, a lot of people. Cash saying
they don't know.
Tyson will kill this guy. VR Montenegro, hashtag Matty's right. We all heard it.
Okay,
we're all saying
we're doing a watch party, and I want VR. I want everyone watching.
Do you know what's like? I didn't want to watch this fight. This whole time I said this is all stupid. But now you're sucking me into this fight because I'm having to sit here and fight to defend Mike Tyson when I shouldn't have to defend the toughest guy in boxing history.
He's 57. Going to get a prime guy in his prime, 26, I think he is. And he's not in MMA. He's in boxing. I know. He's been boxing.
But it's not against who? How many boxers has he fought against?
He's fought one legit boxer.
When you get the shot at Mike Tyson, that boxers box 20, 25 professional boxing fights. Jake Paul has 4 or 5 professional boxing fights. He's not there yet.
Do you think?
And I don't care if Tyson gets hit a few times. It's not going to affect him at all.
I've seen it firsthand. Jake, well, not firsthand, but there's quite a few clips. Jake Paul's got a decent jab and a decent punch, and he's actually knocked out. He's knocked out quite a few.
Jab is going to hurt Mike Tyson.
Like a good hook would, but he's knocked out a few of his opponents. He has. But do you think Tommy Fury could hold his own against Mike Tyson?
No.
Now you're
today. Like right
Yes,
now?
right now.
Okay, well, I've actually never seen Tommy Fury fight, so I don't know.
He's a professional boxer, and he
Yeah,
went
but-
split decision. Jake Paul, in 4 years in training, he's been in the biz. And he went
We're not talking
split
Tyson
decision.
Fury here.
Yeah, that's still Tommy. He's still a professional boxer.
What
anyway,
does Cool
we're
Bet
getting
have anything
a
yet?
little carried away here. But
You got me going on this.
well, I got going. I got going as well,
You don't
Matty.
know what you're doing. You know what you're talking about.
Well, we will find out. We'll save the date, and I cannot wait.
Well, the Elks
I'm
play.
making a bet with everyone here.
The Elks play the night before, so I'm free that day. So I'm gonna have to watch this stupid fight.
Yeah, but to your first thing, 6 goals remaining season for Zach Hyman. Yeah, I mean, we've seen players go on slumps, and kind of when they reach those plateaus, you've seen Connor McDavid, once he reached 60 last year, he took a significant decrease. Austin Matthews, as of late, once he got, 54, all of a sudden he scored 2 goals in his last 9 games. I think it's 3 goals in his last 10 now, something like that. So there is, you do slow down, but I mean, Zach Hyman's just been money lately. That's kind of been they just give him the puck. Whatever he's shooting, he has it. He's clicking at an all-time rate. He's having a career year right now. So I think for sure he's going to have 52. I think he might finish with 55, and which is crazy because we all remember this was 2 seasons back now when Leon Draisaitl finished with 55 goals and just how insane of a season that was. Austin Matthews, that was when he got 60 that year. And you're like, holy crap, this is crazy. Leon Draisaitl, one of the best goal scorers in the world. And now you're having a conversation with Zach Hyman, almost on pace to have 55 goals, over 55. It's crazy that we're having that conversation. So, if he finishes with 55, that'll be one of the greatest seasons by an Oiler, not named Gretzky or whatever, ever. He's putting together just an unbelievable year with just a great contract. One of the greatest free agent signings, not even just in Oilers history, maybe NHL history. Hot take.
Yeah, well, no, you'd have to go, but they signed a 50 goal scorer potentially here. He's going to be a 50 goal scorer. That's what does a 50 goal scorer actually cost you, contract wise? It's over $6 million, right?
Sure.
That's where it's at this point in time, at this point of this contract, it is the best free agent signing in Oilers history, and it would have to probably be in a contention, I would have to say, but now I'd have to do some sort of research into what's going on. We'll hear from Chris Knoblauch right away here. Do just want to go through some scores happening in the National Hockey League. The Leafs against the Hurricanes. We had these people mention this one in the Nasty Chat a little bit. Leafs are up 4-2 with 1 minute and 32 seconds left in the game. That game's in overtime right now. Carolina Hurricanes scoring twice, including with 6 seconds left of forced overtime. That game 4-4 in OT of the game's final. The Flames beat the Canadiens today 5-2. Blue Jackets got past the Sharks 4-2. Bruins 6-5 over the Flyers. Lightning defeat the Panthers 5-3 in the Battle of Florida. Coyotes get past the Devils 4-1. Penguins fall to the Rangers 7-4. In overtime, the Sens get past the Islanders 4-3. And the Red Wings defeat the Sabres 4-1. Elsewhere right now, early in the third, Blues are up 2-0 on the Wild, and through 2 periods, the Stars lead the LA Kings 4-0. Later tonight, it is Oilers Avalanche. It's also Capitals Canucks and Predators taking on the Kraken. I just want to keep ranting a little bit more on why you're so wrong about Jake Paul, but this is the Oil stream, and we're talking Oilers and Avs, and I could do that for the next 2.5 hours if I choose not to go home in advance of just throughout this whole hockey game to YouTube Trev. But do want to remind people 2 things before we get to Chris Knoblauch. 1, Dustin Nilsson will be in for the post-game show later tonight. And 2, your next chance to qualify for the EST Flyaway. We want to send you to Las Vegas thanks to our wonderful partners, FlyYG, the Edmonton International Airport, and the LVCVA. Your next keyword coming up during the Nielsen Show on Monday morning. We're qualifying, giving out those keywords 4 times a day, Monday through Friday, and once on Saturdays during Hello Hockey. But your next chance to qualify for that trip to Vegas coming up Monday morning with Dusty, Lieutenant Eric, and YouTube Trev. Here's Edmonton Oilers head coach Chris Knoblauch.
Coaching in Hartford and stuff like that. It's such a busy schedule. But did you get much of a chance to watch the NHL, maybe excluding the Rangers? Would you have seen Colorado much as just a hockey fan?
Most of the games I would watch would be the East Coast games, just because it's so much easier because of the time. And then between watching the games, all the Hartford games that I was involved in, and then following what the Rangers were doing, there was games around the NHL, but mostly primarily my focus, my time was spent with those two teams.
So there's all this skill on both sides, and you haven't had a chance to play each other yet. Is tonight more about kind of which team can stay to the structure and stay to the plan, as opposed to, as a coach, I'm sure you're kind of hoping that?
Well, both coaches will be preaching about playing with structure and playing your systems, but probably come down to also making the plays. The coaches can only coach so much, and you can only force them to play so much structure, and ultimately play with that structure gives you a chance to have success, but you don't want to overcomplicate things. You have to make plays. They got to feel good. They have to play and make the plays that are in front of them, and not overemphasize that, we have to be in this position, we have to do this, and you have to let the players play.
How have you felt about your lines? Maybe we'll just say 1 through 3 right now, with the new formations, and Adam Henrique in there, and what look are you seeing?
Adam's a great addition for our team, and an exceptional player that can provide some offense. Very reliable. He's always thinking about defense. Right now, it's a nice fit right now, what I see. And, might change up with what the opposition's doing with line matchups, and somebody's not playing well that we have to switch things up. But right now, I like what I see.
This week, remind me, I think you were talking about the power play, and it was a combination of structure and intuition. Was that the...
Yeah, I think so. I think a little bit of being unlucky. We weren't scoring goals, and whatever it was, went through that stretch of not scoring. Numerous goalposts that we hit, and if they go in, it's a little different story. But I also thought that, guys were getting out of position a little bit more, and you want them to play in freely and not playing with too much structure. But I think we were getting out of it a little more than we should. You need some structure, but there's a balance between playing structure and freely, and I think we're playing a little more free than having that structure.
Are there any lineup changes you're considering for tonight?
No, we're going with the same lineup.
And that means no Matthias Ekholm in the lineup tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. Stuart Skinner getting the start for the Oilers. Their lineup one more time. McDavid in between Nugent-Hopkins, Hyman. Draisaitl centering Fogle, McLeod. Henrique in between Kane and Brown. Carrick centers Janmark on Perry on the fourth line. Your deep pairings, Kulak, Bouchard, Nurse, Desharnais, Stetcher, CC, as they go up against McKinnon, Makar, and the Colorado Avalanche. That will wrap up tonight's edition of the Oil Stream Pregame show. I'm Matt Iwanyk. He's YouTube Trev. Before we get away, Trev, I'm putting this on you.
Yep.
Prediction. What do you got for tonight?
I have a very close game.
Okay.
I think there's going to be a blown lead.
Okay.
I think the Oilers are going to start strong. They're going to, and then in the third period, somewhere along the line.
So the Oilers get the lead and the Avs blow it, or they blow it and the Avs come back.
Yeah, that's going to go to OT, just cause. And let's say Evander Kane, OT winner.
Do you have a final score?
I'm going to say
Whiskey.
4-3.
Oilers win 4-3 in OT because Kane scores the OT winner. You heard it here first from YouTube Trev.
Absolutely.
He got that. He might get that right. He doesn't have Jake Paul right, but he might get that one right. We'll find out what happens coming up in a few minutes on CBC is the Edmonton Oilers, Colorado Avalanche. It's the heavyweight tilt that we've been waiting quite a while for. The first of 3 meetings, the rest of the regular season between these two clubs. That's coming up. Oil Stream postgame show immediately following tonight's game. That will be Dustin Nielsen and YouTube Trev live right here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, as well as on YouTube. I'd like to thank you for all tuning in and joining us today, and for everyone that jumped into the Nasty Chat as well as got into the inbox at 780-218-9999. On behalf of Trev, I'm Matt. Again, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the Oiler game tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I will chat with you on Monday.